Hello everyone and welcome to what some of you have been awaiting a long time. The Angmar faction overview for Conflicts of Rhyador. This is not a release version, most things are subject to change, however, it is very unlikely that they will. I will start as I mean to go on with these faction overviews, and that will be detailing your starting position, your custom character, generals, bodyguards, and strategy maps, battle maps, etc. Scripts. The Barracks script, which is a feature unique to Conflicts of Rhyador, as opposed to just having one event, as Divide and Conquer currently does. Then I shall talk about the battle map, all of your units, and their stats. Let's get started then. As Angmar, you control 2 provinces, Khandum, your capital, and Litash. Your starting armies are quite large for your size. You start with Agandawa, who is your faction leader, and some Iron Crown units. They're very good. Use them wisely. You have Hunvorn, the Wraith of Cardolan, and another unit of Barrowites in this fort below Khandum. You've got Hardang the Spy over at Angsul. You have Morgamir, the Heir, in Litash with some Angmarim units, warriors and pikemen. And then you have Nimrazir, the Slaver, by Mount Gram with some units of Gram Orcs. This is your entire domain, everything focused around the old Witch Realm. For your custom general units, all of your starting generals have custom units, and some have custom battle models, like strategy models even, like Hunvorn, Agandawa, they both have custom strategy models. Nimrazir does not, and nor do I believe does Morgamir. Nope, they are pretty much the same. No, they are exactly the same. Agandawa starts with a unique bodyguard unit to him, the Guardians of the Barad Helig, the Ice Tower. They are relentless. They are incredibly powerful. Use them always. They are also completely free because they are never recruitable. Overlord Morgamir starts with Dark Rangers. Your best archer unit, in fact. He's also not one for being left in garrison duty, but he is not free and is quite expensive, 400 gold coins per turn. Yes. Nimrazir comes with Thrall Masters, a support unit for Angmar. They're quite good. You want to use him whenever you've got an army of Gram Orcs. And finally, Hunvorn with Barrowites, the strongest general you have except Agandawa. Because, again, they're relentless, but this time they've got multiple hit points. And are armor piercing, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they are. Okay, so I shall now talk about expansion early game and diplomacy. While we have not yet implemented diplomacy, you will start allied to Gundabad, at war with the Noldorin realms and the Dunedain of Rhyador. You may also start at war with the Dwarves of Ered Luin, but that is undecided as of yet. All other factions, including Rudauer, you will be neutral to. However, with Rudauer, you will have a substantial opinion buff, but no agreements. Right. As for Rebel expansion, you can go south to Shedun and Mount Gram. Mount Gram is absolutely vital. I would highly recommend taking it as soon as you possibly can. Shedun, Dorgul, Gobadrine, Angsul. You can basically go all the way to Barketa before you'll be stopped by the Dwarves, maybe even further. The Dunedain might come northwards, but I have absolutely no idea whether or not that'll be likely at this stage. You have another fort here you can use. if you want to. There's another couple of forts over here, but those are both Gundabad forts, so you're not going to get those. You could go north to Takunan, but it's highly likely the Ice Tribes of Lossus will take that before you get there. And Foriloth is always going to be rebel. I'm going to make it inaccessible with some mountains later. Okay, the Barracks script I will do next, completely ignoring the order I started with. At turn 1, you will be completely unable to recruit units, except in Khandum, even though... Well, this is a bad example because the buildings aren't there, but you will see you can't recruit anything from the Warg camp, the Dunman camp, or even the garrison quarters. This is intended, not a bug. If anybody reports this as a bug, I will completely ignore you with any actual bugs you have in future. In Khandum, you can recruit 3 units and the General's Bodyguard from the game start. The Iron Crown Longbowmen and Halberdiers both have a replenishment time of 25 turns. Barrow Whites have a longer replenishment time. I've just given you one that's almost ready to recruit. As Angmar, your diplomats come from the Ice Tower, the Barad Helig, which is also where your General's Bodyguard recruits from. For the Barracks event script, there are 6 tiers for Angmar. The first tier, well, technically 7 if you count the 0 tier, which you start at, you cannot recruit anything at this time. Then, there are 5 things you can do to increase the tier. These can be done in any order. 1. Capture Mount Graham. 2. Capture 5 regions, including the starting 2. 3. 10 regions, not much harder. 4. Own Imladris. This is arguably the hardest one, because the Noldorin realms will not fall easily. And 5. Capture Fornost Orion. Again, not too easy. The Dunedain will hold it to their last breath. After you have taken the first tier, you'll be able to recruit Gram units, these trashy orcs. They're not very good, and they will run very easily. When you've completed the second tier, you will get the Warg Riders of Angmar, 2 units, which we will detail later, and the Angmarim Warriors and Pikemen. Tier 3 decreases the replenishment time for all units previously unlocked. Tier 4, and after you have defeated a Warg Rider general that will spawn and attack Khandum at about turn 34, you will unlock the Mount Graham Marauders and Mount Graham Raiders, the best readily available cavalry you have. At this tier, you will also unlock the Iron Crown units available everywhere from the garrison quarters. Next, at tier 5, you unlock the ability to recruit Northguard, Dark Rangers, and Guardians of Khandum. But at this tier, they are very slow replenishment. At the final tier, tier 6, which is gained by doing all of the other 5, capturing Mount Graham, owning 15 regions, not 10 or 5, and owning Imladris, Fornost, there it is, and Ostsul, you will get your faster replenishment rate for all units again. This will get your orc units, the rubbish ones, recruiting about once every 6 or 7 turns. Very useful. After you've done all of these things as well, the Witch King will spawn for you somewhere around here, if you can see my cursor, if not about on the border between Angsul and Khandum, where the road ends. He has his own unique bodyguard unit, just like a Gundauer, except his cavalry. But we are not done with scripts yet. You are able to recruit some Rudaurim units from the Dunman camp. That's not it, there it is. These aren't very good units, but they're better than your orcs, so you're going to want to use them. They won't be too common, but you can get a general for these hillmen by sending a diplomat to Cameth Bryn at turn 10. You will be prompted to do this by a message. Send one there, and a general will spawn for you, Hwaldar the Hillman. If he dies, don't worry, you can send a diplomat back to Cameth Bryn, and you'll get another one, Morholt the Hillman. If Morholt dies as well, then don't worry, you can do it again and get another general name to be decided. However, if you kill him as well, then the Hillmen are going to start thinking you're a really bad general, and they will fight for you less. Your replenishment rate for them will decrease. If Rudar, in Rudar's choice script, which will be detailed in their own faction overview, decides to side with the Northern Dunedain, the Dunedain of Rydor, sorry, then you will gain the ability to recruit some of their stronger than units. From an upgrade to this, let's see if it already appears in the building browser. That's the wrong one. There it is. The Rudar camp. No, it does not. But let's... Oh, it does. The Hillmen Mustering Ground, which does not have UI yet, because I don't know how to do that. But we'll do that later. You can't see the recruitment ability allowed yet, because I haven't added it. As for buildings, which I'll go over after we've done the main script for Angmar, which is the choice script. This is not a choice between good and evil, because that would be utterly ridiculous. Angmar is the big, bad, evil faction in this mod. They are strong, and they are meant to be. The choice is instead between whether or not you will stay allied to Mount Gundabad and the Gundabad Orcs, as they have helped you in a way through the hard times since the Witch Realm was overthrown, or whether you side with Agandal's people, the Black Numenorians of Durthang. If you side with the Black Numenorians, then you will be able to build the Numenorian Tower and the Numenorian Castle, which do not have the correct UI there. That's annoying. But they will give you 3 units. The Trikmagan and the Karab Kathan from the first level, and the Barim Anadun from the second level. All of these units are by far the strongest you will ever be able to recruit as Angmar. They can go toe-to-toe with Elven elites and win. However, their recruitment will be longer than Elven elites, and they are available in only 8 or 7 places around the world, including Litash, Karndum, Fornost, Anuminas, Tharbad, both of them, Royal regular, and I believe Londdyr is another one. I'll have to go check that later. You will also get a general spawning with either side that you picked. If you pick the Black Numenorians, then Zimrathan will spawn with you with about a quarter stack of Black Numenorian units. And if you picked Gundabad, you will get Goroth the Berserker. He will spawn with a half stack of Gundabad units, but these Gundabad units will not be very good. You'll unlock 5 units from Gundabad as opposed to the Black Numenorians 3. However, they will be far worse in quality, but far higher in quantity. I believe that concludes the scripts for Angmar, other than if you take the Witch King and you kill a general from the Northern Dunedain, there is a chance that he will turn into a Wraith unit, Barracks that is, and spawn in the Witch King's army.
Yes, my lord.
This can happen a maximum of 6 times. If you'd use it more, if it happens a 6th time, you will not be able to use it again. So beware of that, I think. Looks like there's an issue with the sound at the moment. That's all right. We'll ignore it. Angmar is going to be a fairly hard faction. Because you are the big bad evil, lots of factions will fight you. You will have to fight the Dunedain of Rydor. You will have to fight the Noldorin Realms. You probably will have to fight the Brelands. You will probably have to fight Lossus. You will almost certainly have to fight Ered Luin. And you may also have to fight Rudar. This is all up in the air. And if you choose to side with the Númenóreans, you will very likely have to fight Gundabad as well. Isn't that fun? They will be a challenging campaign, but I think also one of the more rewarding. And with that, I will head over to the battle map and speak to you shortly with the roster. Welcome then to the battle map. I have arranged the entire roster of Angmar nicely in tiers, starting with the trash. Then we go to the regulars, well, the low tier, the mid tier, the high tier, or the stronger mid tier, lower mid, upper mid, high tier, elite, and then bodyguard. Because Angmar's roster is so large, I was unable to fit them all in one army, so the remaining 4 units are over there. Let's start with the weakest unit in Angmar, the Gram Wretches. With 2 attack, 2 charge bonus, and only 5 total defense, as well as poor morale and poor morale response, these orcs are here for one reason and one reason only: to die, to prevent the deaths of your stronger units. Every single unit you see before you was made lovingly by Reaper. Every single one of them. He did a brilliant job with Angmar, and kudos to him. Don't expect these guys to kill anyone, because they really, really won't. So there we come to the next tier of Gram Orcs, starting with the Gram Host, who are just slightly better, really. They're sword and shield as opposed to spear and shield. They've got 8 total defense, 4 attack, and 3 charge bonus, but still low morale and average morale response. So not very good still, and almost double the price for not quite double the unit. Yeah, these guys are they're pretty rubbish, I have to say. They look very good, and most of these models do have armor upgrades, but I have elected to not show you those. You can download the mod when it is ready and see them for yourselves. You'll also notice that the banner carrier changes depending on the tier. This is the Orcish banner carrier for the low tiers. Then we come through to the Angmarim banner carrier. And no, that's the same banner carrier. Must be a different place. We will get to the third. Oh, no, of course, it's the Rudar unit's banner carrier, but they are not being shown here today. Then we have the Gram Jailers, halberdiers hailing from Mount Gram. They're actually worth getting, I have to say. 3 armor-piercing attack with a 2 charge bonus and 6 total defense. Yes, they're rubbish. Yes, they're orcs, but it's still nothing to scoff at. They will actually do some killing and might even be able to stand up to cavalry. Who knows? At this tier, we get both your first archer unit and your first cavalry units. But we'll do the archers first. The Gram Trackers. 3 melee attack, 2 missile attack, which for an opening tier unit isn't terrible. They have, ignore these stats, I haven't updated them yet. They have they have abysmal accuracy and 5 total defense. Their range is also quite low. Don't expect them to do much other than stagger enemies with their arrows. If you were fighting the Orcs of the Misty Mountains, then they might actually do a fairly good job, but since you won't be fighting those very often, they're not going to last long at all. So now we come to your first 2 cavalry options, Warg Skirmishers and Warg Raiders. Neither of these are very good, but both are alright. The Warg Skirmishers are effective against armor with their 8 missile attack javelins, of which they have 4. They're faster than regular cavalry as well, and they scare horses because they're wargs. Technically camels, but wargs. 5 missile attack and 6 charge bonus is actually decent. When they finish with their javelins, they can do some damage in melee. 8 total defense, the same as the Gram Host, puts them firmly in this bracket, and they're not too expensive for a decent cavalry unit. And then we have the Warg Raiders. Archer Warg Riders. They scare horses, can form shooting circle, 4 missile attack, and average accuracy is actually fairly good. They're even worse than the Warg Skirmishers in melee attacks, though. Don't throw them in unless you want them to die. With 6 total defense, again, they will melt in combat after charging. The mid-tier. There is a somewhat controversial choice on the mid-tier here, because they're not that bad, but I don't think they're quite as good as the high mid-tier. Here we have 3 melee options and 1 cavalry. The Angmar Warriors I will start with, and that is a glorious battle model, I do have to say. Reaper, you've outdone yourself here. These are the first unit of yours that will actually do a lot of killing. 9 attack, not missile attack, 6 charge bonus, and 11 total defense. They are solid warriors. They are dual-wielding strike infantry, with a mixtures of dual swords, dual axes, and dual maces. They are not armor-piercing, because there's a lot of them with swords, and I didn't want people to say, oh, but these guys have got armor-piercing and they're sword units, so why can't this sword unit have armor-piercing too? Yeah, just don't. Don't be that guy. You also get the Angmar pikemen using the same models and upgraded models, but different weapons. They are pikes, unsurprisingly. They only have 2 attack with their pikes, which may be increased to 3 or 4. But with the pike animation, that's more like 6 to 12, depending on how I change it. They have 9 total defense, of which 6 is in armor, meaning they can survive some arrows, but they won't do too much if they're shot at for a long period of time. They have good stamina and quite good morale. Then you have the Thrall Masters. These guys are vital in Angmar early tier armies because they inspire nearby troops and they can chant, which is also very, very useful. They're effective against armor with 7 AP attack due to their maces. They've got coin pouches, some drafts, and I believe a whip coiled on their belts somewhere as well, if I'm not mistaken. 16 total defense. These guys are actually very good, but you don't want to be using them in melee because they need to be chanting to keep these orcs from running at the first sight of anything vaguely shaped like a Dunedain. Sorry. And then we have the Mountgram Marauders, actually good cavalry. 16 total defense, 8 attack, and 9 charge bonus. They're very good on the charge, less so in extended, melee. I should have put them back here with the Mountgram Raiders. So then we come to the high mid-tier. More infantry. As you can see, Angmar is actually a well-rounded faction, but its infantry is really the cream of the crop. Another archer unit, and Mountgram Raiders. I will start with the Iron Crown Warriors, because they are on this. Oh no, they're not. The Iron Crown Halberdiers are first. Sporting, again, brand new models by Reaper, including a glorious helmet. They have 16 total defense, along with 6 armor-piercing attack with their halberds, and 5 charge bonus. They're quite good on the charge, which is unusual for halberdiers, and they are dependable hold-the-line infantry, which is something you sort of lack. You've only got 2 units of that, really. Angmar pikemen and the Iron Crown halberdiers. They do not have a movement speed reduction, which is unusual for halberdiers, but will not be changing. Their skill allows them to overcome that. They're reliable in the snow, as are most of your units from here on out, and they can form a spear wall. Iron Crown Warriors are their 2-handed sword-wielding counterparts, with lovely swords and beautiful armour, the same as the halberdiers. These guys have 18 total defense, higher defense skill than the halberdiers, but the same armour. They have 13 attack, 6 charge bonus, but are not effective against armour because they are wielding a sword, and swords should not be effective against armour. Just to keep it all nice and simple. We then come to your second of 3 foot archer options, the Iron Crown Longbowmen, who are about 3 times better than the Graham trackers, maybe a little bit more, with 15 total defense, of which most is in armor, 6 melee attack, 5 missile attack, and actually high accuracy and good range. These guys you should be having in every single army, and like the Angmar halberd and like the Crown halberdiers, you can recruit one of these units on turn 1 from Khandum. They are dependable archers, but don't throw their lives away in melee. It's not worth it. Then we come to your last ranged cavalry option, the Mount Graham Raiders. 6 melee attack, 6 missile attack, 6 charge bonus. High accuracy, only a little bit more range than the Warg Raiders, but significantly more damage at range. They scare horses because they're wargs. These are armoured wargs. They can form a shooting circle, but they may charge without orders, as I think the Mount Graham Raiders also may charge without orders. They have 13 total defense, of which more than half is in armor, so they're not too vulnerable to arrows. Though javelins and anything that's armor piercing will still take them out quite easily. Now to the last recruitable tier that is recruitable pretty much everywhere. Well, not really, as we'll see when we get onto them. The North Guard, with absolutely stunning models, again by Reaper. These guys are the best mainline infantry you have available everywhere. 8 armor piercing attack with 5 charge bonus. They're armor piercing because they're big maces. 25 total defense. 14 of which is in armor, so they're not going to go down easily. They're just very, very good. They can hold the line in a pinch, but they're better charging. Not as strike infantry, but they're just... You want to use the charge bonus. 13 AP attack on the charge is very nice. They've also got special shields with the Iron Crown logo on them. Now to your final ranged option, the Dark Rangers of Angmar. As you can see, they can hide anywhere, and they are also your stake-laying unit. They can use sharpened stakes, hide anywhere reliable in snow. They frighten nearby enemy infantry. That is important, because although their total defense is only 14, their melee attack is 13, which is very good. They wield dual swords in melee. They have 6 missile attack and 6 charge bonus. Their accuracy is high range, but they require a frozen north region, which is any region that is permanently snowy or any region in Angmar, the old witch realm. They're dependable, they're very expensive and take 3 turns to recruit. So, yes, they're good, but you won't get too many of them. And as you can see, Reaper's lovingly given all of these men face masks, but the angle isn't great to see them properly. We'll have to wait until they move. Then your final cavalry option, the Guardians of Khandum. They are mounted North Guard, essentially. 23 total defense, of which 14 is in armor. 8 armor-piercing melee attack with their maces and 7 charge bonus. They frighten enemy infantry. They're skilled against mounts and effective against armor. They are dedicated melee cavalry, no lance. But they only come from Khandum. Nowhere else. These guys will be rare, but you should still train them every single time you can. They are that good. So now we come on to the elites and bodyguard units. Starting with the Barrow Whites. Oh, some of them got old Arnorian helms. These units have not been touched up by Reaper. They are the same as in Divide and Conquer. They have 12 armor-piercing melee attack with their swords. The reason these guys are armor-piercing but no other sword unit is quite simply they're whites. Their swords have been touched by sorcery and other reasons that you don't need to know. They have 5 charge bonus, so they're not that good on the charge, as opposed to just in regular melee. Only 20 total defense, of which most is in defense skill, so they are vulnerable to arrows. Any arrows. But 2 hit points, so they're not that vulnerable to arrows. They're also relentless and cannot run away. They're the first unit of yours, I believe, that cannot run. Let's just check the North Guard. They're the most likely to be locked. Yeah, they're the first unit that cannot run away. They have locked morale. They will fight to the death every time. I'll do the custom bodyguard next. The Guardians of the Barracks. One of the first units Reaper made. These are wraith-like beings that stand watch over the Ice Tower of Kandurm. Most of these units have had custom descriptions written for them by Matt and Reaper. I'm not going to read them to you because that would take a long time, and I don't have the time to do so right now. There are 41 of them, but bear in mind, because Agandar is a faction leader, they're likely to have about 60 in his battalion. They have 30 total defense, of which 18 is in armor. They are your most heavily armored unit, and they have 16 attack with 8 charge bonus. They frighten all enemies. They inspire your troops, reliable in snow, powerful charge, and excellent stamina. The recruitment cost is 1,000 because they can't be recruited. They are completely free in upkeep. You will never have to pay these men, or beings, I suppose I should say. And now the Witch Knights, the generic bodyguard unit of Angmar, and I'm glad they are because this model is one of the best that Reaper has made. I absolutely adore them. The armour is lovely, the iron-crowned helmets, beautiful. They have 28 total defense, 10 attack and 5 charge bonus. Half of their defense precisely is in armor. They frighten nearby enemy infantry, which is very useful for a bodyguard unit, especially a sword and board bodyguard unit. And they have very good morale, but they can run away. This is important. Agandar cannot run away. However, these guys can, so your generals can flee battles and survive to fight another day if they need to. As with all general bodyguard units, they cost 1,000 gold coins and take 3 turns to recruit. This is your entire core roster for Angmar. There will be some Hillmen units that can supplement it and some Gundabad orcs, but both of those will feature in their own overviews. What is next is the 4 units you get with scripts that are unique only to you. You can tell we haven't made sprites yet because of the change in... Yeah. You have the Karabkathan, those that slay all. The UI is not in place for these guys yet. Don't worry about it. 12 attack with spears, 6 charge bonus, and 28 total defense. Very solid. Their cost needs to be upped, though. They should cost more than 1,000. These are the most cheap units of the Black Numenorians you get, and as you can see, they have their own banner carrier, again made by Reaper. All of these models are Reaper's beauties. They're just very strong. Then we have the Barim Anadun, the bodyguard of Zimrathan. The name means Lords of the West. 14 melee attack, 7 charge bonus, and 32 total defense, making them the most heavily armored unit in your roster. They are incredibly tough. And, well, yeah, they're just by far the best unit you can recruit anywhere. Not anywhere, though. They require 7 regions, I checked. They inspire nearby troops. They're reliable in the woods. They frighten all enemies nearby. I believe the Karabkathan only frighten mounts. No, they don't frighten anyone. But these men do. Then you have the Tariq Magan, the Death Bringers. They are equipped with steel bows, so their arrows are armor piercing, which is lovely. 14 melee attack with their 2-handed swords, which I believe are sheathed on their spines at the moment. 7 missile attack, which is armor piercing. 6 charge bonus and 24 total defense. They're just better than the steel bowmen of Arnor, but available in less places. I personally wrote the descriptions for all of the Black Numenorian units, the Karabkathan, the Barim Anadun, and the Tariq Magan. So if you want to give that a read, feel free. I didn't read these to anyone for Reapers or Mats, so I won't read my ones either. Don't want to show favoritism. And then you have the Morgul Vanguard, the bodyguard of the Witch King, with absolutely lovely armor, variation in the shields, and a unique horse to them. These guys can't hide because, why should they? They're cavalry. They're a bodyguard of the Witch King. They inspire your troops, they frighten nearby enemy infantry. They are incredibly powerful on the charge. 15 charge bonus is obscene. There are 11. They have 11 melee attack with their lances, so that's 26 on the charge, and then probably 12 or 13 with the swords they pull out after they have charged. 32 total defense, and they cost an awful lot. These guys are just incredibly powerful. This is a lovely description for them as well, although there's some formatting errors there. Yes. And that concludes the faction overview video for Angmar in Conflicts of Eridor. I have not put us up against the next faction that we will be using, that we'll be overviewing, because that is Rudar and they are not yet finished. The faction I've put us up against today is the Dunedain of Eridor, with mostly models that are unchanged from Divide and Conquer, as these ones will remain unchanged from Divide and Conquer because, as you can see, they're just glorious. So yes, I hope you have all enjoyed this video, and I shall see you for the next developer diary, or faction overview video, or modding tutorial actually, so keep an eye out for them. Thank you all for coming. Commander Soul, over and out.